success in this area look like? Now, I would argue that a system to record suicides, as complicated as that may be, would be success. A reduction in the number of suicides in general, and maybe the support that officers receive once they've left the force, and PCSOs I might add as well. What does success for you look like in this area?
Lord Bailey, Assembly Member Lord Bailey.
Thank you, Chair. You're forgiven. Good morning, Miss Mayor. We said good morning. Good morning, Miss Mayor. I mean, the police resource most under stress at this moment will be the man and woman power, the people power of the policing service. These protests have been particularly hard work for the police service. 2,000 Metropolitan Police officers are off due to stress and mental health. This is a very worrying statistic. How are you ensuring that these people who dedicate their professional lives to our safety are being looked after on a day-to-day basis?
So this commission has, really tried to ensure that the police receive the resources in terms of support they need, in terms of a professional human resources department, in terms of a professional welfare support system and so forth. And so a lot of changes taken place to support police officers. The new Met for London plan has got quite a bit of detail about the support being given to police officers, because he'll know Operation Hampshire in relation to the support given to officers assaulted, that my second term I think was really important. And in the past, officers and staff haven't given the support, not just welfare, pastoral, other support, that you receive in a better organised place of work. I'll put it gently like that. And the Commission is determined to address that.
Thank you. One of the most concerning statistics, of course, is the amount of police officers serving and past who take their own lives, who commit suicide. Nationally, in 2004, there were 17 deaths by suicide, 49 attempts. And 42 of those attempts were duty-related, and 33 of those attempts were officers who were under investigation. Again, what work is being done specifically around the Met, which is where your responsibilities lie, to support these officers and to understand why they might be in this position? And here's the crucial thing, Mayor: actually collect these statistics.
Well, first, Chair, can I thank the member for letting my office know about in advance about his interest in this issue, and so I've had a chance to look into this issue in more detail. There is now, thankfully, a national action plan for suicide prevention and post-vention. Wasn't around before, and I want to thank the College of Police and the MPCC for working on that. The Met Police is working on its own revised death of a colleague policy, because he'll appreciate if a colleague loses his life, it has an impact, or her life, on the rest of the team. They're also working on developing a new health and wellbeing strategy for the reasons the members alluded to. There is a national police wellbeing strategy, but it's obviously not bespoke for the Met. And also occupational health has been improved to provide better counselling provision, employee assistance programme, therapy in-house and clinical services. Can I make one point in relation to suicides, which is he's absolutely right. The data has been poor in relation to collecting data. One of the explanations I've been given, because London Fire Brigade also has a problem with data, is often the employer doesn't know when it's suicide, because they only report it if it's on the death certificate. And sometimes the death certificate doesn't come till quite a while later, and suicide isn't always recorded, and you're relying upon the family letting you know. I don't really think that's good enough. And so I want to keep a watching eye on this, because unless you collect the data, you don't know how good or bad things are. And so I want to thank you for raising this tension with me, and I promise you I'll pursue it.
As far as is possible for you, could you mandate that the Met collect this data? Because I believe the Federation can speak to the families, because if a member of your family commits suicide, you are very likely to contact your employer and let them know, particularly if they're an officer. But we need the Met to actively collect those statistics. Will you press them to do so?
Can I tell you, again, because of his advance notice, I looked into this in advance of today. The reason why the Fire Brigade, by the way, neither does the London Ambulance Service collect the data, is because you want the data to be objectively the same across the piece. And so question, if somebody, what the family says, did kill themselves, but the death certificate doesn't say suicide, how is that recorded? I'm just giving them a hypothetical, don't want to cause offence to families. And so I will ask and encourage the MPS, by the way, and the London Fire Brigade and the Ambulance Service, to see if we can have one consistent system, because he will know the stresses and strains, these people go through and stuff, which can have an impact on mental health, mental well-being. So I will take that away. I can't mandate, because I think there are inconsistencies in different sectors as well.
Okay, just press the Commissioner to look at it, because I accept that it is complicated, particularly for the reasons that you've just listed. But the Met could be a lot more proactive in collecting the data and having the mechanism to maybe adjust the data if legally things had changed with coroners' verdicts, etc., into the future.
Let's be clear. The genesis of what you're saying has got to be right. We've got to reduce the numbers of people killing themselves. Absolutely right.
I just want to go back to mental health and supporting a police officer at work. The average person sees 3 or 4 traumatic events in their life if they're unfortunate, whereas a Metropolitan Police officer could see 300 or 400 across their career. Now, in view of that really quite alarming statistic, are you certain that we're doing everything? Because morale in the police force now is very, very low. Many police officers want their senior police officers to present as being more in line with them, more supporting them. One of the real ways they could do that is about how they deal with police officers who've been through a tough, traumatic situation. How are we doing that piece of work?
No, I think the Commissioner was here to say we're not doing enough, and I'd agree with him. So that's why the Met's developing a new health and wellbeing strategy. And it's got to set out the services that can be offered to officer colleagues and staff colleagues. And you know, the HR jargon is a holistic approach, but it's about bringing trauma, psychological and physical health together for an integrated strategy, because he's spot on. An average day, forget their career, an average day, the trauma experienced by a police officer versus most other public servants is really, really different, and we've got to think about that. And so that's why we're improving the help given to the employee assistance programme, clinical services, and in-house. Really important is in-house specialist therapy, because I understand the sort of stresses and strains officers go through and staff members as well.
In the formulation of this new service, are the Metropolitan Police speaking to the Federation?
I'd have to check, but I'd be astonished if they're not speaking to the staff associations. I can't speak for the Federation, but I'll check and get back to him.
Okay, thank you. And my final piece is, what does success in this area look like? Now, I would argue that a system to record suicides, as complicated as that may be, would be success. A reduction in the number of suicides in general, and maybe the support that officers receive once they've left the force, and PCSOs I might add as well. What does success for you look like in this area?
So there's numbers of ways the police measure success. I think suicide is an extreme for reasons we know, but unless we measure it, we don't know. That's why we've got to measure it, right? But there are other measures of, you know, how happy staff are at work. Are they staying at work? Are they leaving work? Retention rates, are they progressing up? How confident they are at using Met Police facilities, are they accessing facilities? So there is a yearly survey, and there's various pulse surveys as well that Met Police undertake. They go directly to the staff rather than through staff associations and Federation. Separately, there is fora for staff associations and the Fed to raise issues with senior officers. So a number of metrics and KPIs the police will have, but I think it's because of the experience they've had from feedback. They're reviewing all these policies. It's really important. You know, we're in a professionalised police service. I mentioned in answer to the previous question, improved vetting, and who comes in, making it easy for, you know, bad colleagues to leave. But also the vast majority are really good, decent people. We're going to professionalise them and give them a good service they deserve. I think,
thank you for that answer. I think we'll return to this theme of how staff are surveyed and results of those.